Hello, this video is going to introduce the course description of English for Academic Purposes, also known as Year 2 English 2001, for the spring of 2021. Basically, what we're going to do is browse the document. There's quite a bit, and we can't go through a lot of it in detail, but I will tell you how to study further to kind of find out what you might be looking for in the course. First of all, we have the basics. Of course, we are in spring 2021. Students will get 3 credit hours. There are 8 hours per week, which obviously means 4 classes, etc. Okay. You need to get a 50% or above to complete this course. And what this is about is academic English. So you should have not only English skills, but academic English skills. And you will see that a lot if you focus on the way the books present the language to you and what they ask you to do. The skills that you are asked to practice are all related to using English in the academic context, not just going out and talking with people, but being a student, being an academic, being a researcher. Okay, now we look at the objectives, and objectives are basically the goals. What are the goals of the course? What are you supposed to be doing? And when you say that you completed this course, what did you actually complete? Well, there are several objectives, but I'm going to focus on just one, the first one. I'll highlight it now, but in fact, the highlighting makes it a bit difficult to read. So if you just focus on the area that is highlighted in blue now, I'll turn the highlighting off and read it with you. One of the specific objectives of this course is to enable students to follow and to participate in a classroom discussion of an academic topic in which they are required to advance and argue a simple case. Now, you just read a mouthful, let's say. That was quite a sentence. And to be honest, when we find out what this one objective really is, we could see that we could spend an entire semester on only this. Well, let's break it down. You are in a classroom, okay? Think of the videos in the Lecture Ready book when you actually watch the lecture. The camera is pointed at the teacher from in front of him or her, which means that you are watching that lecture as if you were a student in that class and you're about to apply the note-taking or whatever other skills that you've just been practicing. So you are preparing yourself to be in a classroom where there is a discussion. Discussion of what? An academic topic. You're not just going to say, oh, that you studied English. You're not just going to say that you know English. You're going to be prepared to be in the specific setting of an academic discussion, right? And you should be able to follow, which means understand what's going on. That's what Lecture Ready does, especially by actually having you sit in a lecture, see what's going on. But all discussions are academic. Every class where the teacher's talking to you and letting students share their answers or share their homework, that's an academic discussion in a classroom, okay? And you need to participate, right? Contribute, be part of that conversation. You should advance and argue a simple case. Advancing a case means you have a point, you have an idea, you have an opinion, and or you have maybe, let's say, an interpretation, and you can present that. You can tell people what your point is and why it is your point, what's important about it. You can also argue it, meaning you can take questions, you can hear people with a different point of view, share that view, and you can respond. Why am I focusing on this particular objective? Well, in some ways, this could be the most challenging because we're not in a physical classroom, but the digital space is just like the physical space in many ways. One of those is that it's a space, it's an area where people can be with each other at the same time. If it's a classroom, you can see the walls and you're physically there all together as a teacher and class. That's no different than using Zoom or Google Meet or some other app because you're all there. You can interact, you can hear each other, you feel each other. That's why you have your camera off sometimes because you know someone is there looking. You feel that the same way you would feel it if they were sitting in the same room as you. So you've got to make yourself, young student, participate in every classroom discussion you're ever in. And you have class for English 4 days a week. What about your other classes? And you've also got to be able to follow. You can't just make your point, you've got to explain it. And you've got to be ready to hear other people with different points of view and respond to them. I encourage you to read the rest of these objectives and ask your teachers or leave a comment to this video if you have questions. Let's look at assessments, the mark. Well, don't only think about your mark, but let's just see how you will be graded. What are the things, when are the times when we will ask you to perform? You do a lot of practice, but when are the performances? Your research is overall 20% of your grade. And, well, let's just say first there's continuous assessment, which means throughout the semester, you will have some marked assignments or exams. The research proposal is the first of these, and as you know, it is due in, parts of it are due in weeks 3, 6, and 9. Now, if you would like to know more about the scheduling of all this, there's a video to accompany this one explaining the academic calendar. For now, you just need to know that there's some aspect of your research proposal due in weeks 3, 6, and 9, and they together make up 20% of your grade. It's basically the portfolio that you submitted last year in year 1 English or last semester, but it's been adapted for year 2 and the research you do there. You will also have 2 written assignments that are 30% of your grade in weeks 7 and 14. There's a presentation of your research in week 13. And if you look at the 15% that your presentation makes of your grade and add that to the 20% of the proposal and portfolio, you will see that research is 35% of your grade. So you're basically looking at something that's as important or more important than final exams. Look at this. Your finals are only 30% of your mark. Your research is 20 plus 15, 35%. It's actually more important than even your exams. Think about that. The homework and other things that you do in class, as well as your participation, will make up 5% of your grade. Now we go to the final assessments. These happen, of course, after classes have ended. And once again, I refer you to the video about the academic calendar on this channel. There's a listening test, a reading test, and a language knowledge test. That's one big final exam altogether in week 16. There's also a speaking test in week 15. That's 10% of your grade. Now, your speaking test last semester was two students together talking separately about different academic topics and then presenting and advancing their point of view on a specific question that the teacher asked, as well as basically going back and forth with their partner student, sharing their opinions, arguing, etc. So definitely practice with that, and let your teacher know if you need help. Now let's look at the textbooks. I think that you should all have accessed these online. If you are having trouble with that, please let your teacher know. One thing that you can do is also watch a video that's on this channel explaining how to access the book. There is an app available where you can access the book even if you are not on Wi-Fi. That's very important because if you go offline, you can still study. So have a look at that. Attendance, you must be at 70% of the classes. Okay, and how many classes are there? Let's go up. 120 hours. So you need to be present at 84 of those hours minimum to pass. Why miss class? I mean, you could have class while you're having coffee. There's no reason to be absent. Now, there is a lot of detail, and I'm not going to present all of this. It would take forever. I'm just going to explain how this information is being presented to you for you to study in your free time in more detail. Week 1 has objectives. Every week has objectives. So we have weeks in the left column. Learning objectives come after that, and the book in which you accomplish those objectives, as well as any other material that's there. So let's just look at one of these and understand that the rest of them work the same way. Your learning objectives are exactly this. Look what it says in blue. On completion of this course, students will be able to. So let's just say that at completion of week 1, a student should be able to identify the main idea of a text. Now, look at the wording here. On completion of this course. That means once you have finished this course, once you have passed and you can tell the whole world that you passed year 2 English, they're going to say, show us. Can you find the main idea of this text? Can you find some specific information in any text? Not from the Inside Reading book or another book, any text. Oman has several English language newspapers. Can you read those and tell people what's going on? If you have a family member who doesn't know English and you're going around saying that you passed year 2, can they give you a newspaper and ask you to explain what it's saying in an article? Because that's what the goal of this week is. You should be able to use an English dictionary. Okay, so that's something that your teacher will probably be introducing you to. And what you should be able to do is look up words in English, not translate, not type it in English and let an app translate it for you, or look it up in an Arabic English dictionary, but to read its meaning in English and be able to use it. And there are more goals. One thing to remember is the AWL, that's the academic word list. That comes from the Inside Reading book. No, the objectives are, keep in mind that week one was actually an intro week. So if you're looking at your teacher and wondering why we're not studying this objective, the objectives are not lined up with the academic calendar, because if you look at that video, you will notice that week one was only an introduction to the course without actually going over any material or skills yet. Nonetheless, you can continue to see what all of these objectives will be, and there are many pages of it. You could take that as something that you want to know that you can do. You might look at this and say, in week 6, I should read text related to branding, and I have no idea what that is. So I'm going to listen for the teacher to explain, and if I don't get a clear answer, I'm going to make sure that I ask. So you could look at the learning outcomes before you start that unit, before you start that week, and make sure that you're aware of the things that are most important to you. Let's just go ahead and skip to the end of these. You can see that there are many pages, and most of this course description is a presentation of this. Week 12 is canceled. You can see in the calendar when our final week of study is, and you are now at the end of it. If you need this information, I'm sure that you already have it from your teacher. There's no need to have it written down, but obviously make sure that you know all of this, so before you need to contact your teacher, you are already ready. Thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, any comments, if there is another video or some other material that I mentioned in this video that you would like to be able to see, whatever else, you can put a comment in this video. And most importantly, when you have questions about the course description, you should bring those to your teacher as soon as you have them. Bye.